We are live. Thank you. And that is not old dude. I'm Richard York, Asher's Trueborn son. Yeah, he old dude had mentioned that he might get a phone call and have to step away, and that I'd have to continue without him. And I think that's happening here at the beginning, which is throwing me off a little bit. Sorry about that. Anyway, we've got Chris waving from the wall. Mother Rowan says, I was watching a cooking show, and during a challenge, one of the chefs yelled, "Corn, corn, corn." I mean, the thought of Jon Snow and the Raven at the Wall. And then she also says peppermint oil is available at Target. And Lizzie says, waving from corn? And Chris the Kratos. Okay. Thank you, Mother. We're doing a big Get the Mice Out of My House weekend, and that is definitely on the list. Waving from the void, says Lady Thistle. How'd you get into the void? They never let me in. You don't get in. It sneaks up on you and slowly surrounds you before you even know it's happening. All right. Well, I guess without further ado, sorry, I'm a little thrown off here, but anyway, let's get to the chapter. So today we're doing Storm, Chapter 38, Tyrion 5. Introducing the rogue, Prince Oberyn Nymeris Martell. A horse whickered impatiently behind him from amidst the ranks of gold cloaks drawn up across the road. Tyrion could hear Lord Giles coughing as well. He had not asked for Giles, no more than he'd asked for Sir Adam or Jalabar Joe or any of the rest. But his Lord Father felt Doran Martell might take it ill if only a dwarf came out to escort him across the Blackwater. Joffrey should have met the Dornishman himself, he reflected as he sat waiting, but he would have mucked it up, no doubt. Of late, the king had been repeating little jests about the Dornish that he'd picked up from Mace Tyrell's men-at-arms. How many Dornishmen does it take to shoe a horse? 9. 1 to do the shoeing and 8 to lift the horse up. Somehow Tyrion did not think Doran Martell would find that amusing. He could see their banners flying as the riders emerged from the green of the living wood in a long, dusty column. From here to the river, only bare black trees remained, a legacy of his battle. Too many banners, he thought sourly, as he watched the ashes kick up under the hooves of the approaching horses, as they had beneath the hooves of the Tyrell van as it smashed Stannis in the flank. Martell's brought half the lords of Dorne by the look of it. He tried to think of some good that might come of that, and failed. How many banners do you count? He asked Bronn. Sellsword Knight shaded his eyes. 8. No, 9. So you're back.
Yeah. It was a quick phone call, setting up an appointment for a biopsy.
Good. I was a little thrown off. Especially.
Yeah, sorry about that. It happened so quick. I'm like, oh, wait, he's got to go live. I'm like, Lindsay, ask him, do you want him to hit the live button?
Right. Well, we went live.
No problem.
Tyrion turned in his saddle. Pod, come up here. Describe the arms you see and tell me which houses they represent. Podrick Payne edged his gelding closer. He was carrying the royal standard, Joffrey's great stag and lion, and struggling with its weight. Bronn bore Tyrion's own banner, the line of Lannister gold on crimson. He's getting taller, Tyrion realized as Pod stood in his stirrups for a better look. He'll soon tower over me like all the rest. The lad had been making a diligent study of Dornish heraldry at Tyrion's command, but as ever he was nervous. I can't see. The wind is flapping them. Bronn, tell the boy what you see. Bronn looked very much the knight today in his new doublet and cloak, the flaming chain across his chest. A red sun on orange, he called, with a spear through its back. Martell, Podrick Payne said at once, visibly relieved. House Martell of Sunspear, my lord, the Prince of Dorne. My horse would have known that one, said Tyrion dryly. Give him another, Bronn. There's a purple flag with yellow balls. Lemons? Pod said hopefully. A purple field strewn with lemons? For House Dalt of Lemonwood? Lemons are associated with Dorne. Might be.
The episode, am I?
Yes, see Trevor Targaryen's episode 4. Might be. Next, a big black bird on yellow, something pink or white in its claws. Hard to say with the banner flapping. The vulture of Blackmont grasps a baby in its talons, said Pod. House Blackmont of Blackmont, sir. Bronn laughed. Reading books again? Books will ruin your sword eye, boy. I see a skull, too, a black banner. The crown skull of House Manwoody. Bone and gold on black. Pod sounded more confident with every correct answer. The Manwoodies of Kingsgrave. 3 black spiders? They're scorpions, sir. House Corgyle of sandstone. 3 scorpions, black on red. Red and yellow, a jagged line between. The flames of Hellholt. House Uller. Tyrion was impressed. The boy's not half stupid once he gets his tongue untied. Go on, Pod, he urged. If you get them all, I'll make you a gift. A pie with red and black slices, said Bronn. There's a gold hand in the middle. House Illyrian of God's grace. A red chicken eating a snake, looks like. The Gargolins of Salt Shore. A cockatrice, sir. Pardon, not a chicken. Red with a black snake in its beak. Very good, exclaimed Tyrion. One more, lad. Bronn scanned the ranks of the approaching Dornishman. The last a golden feather on green checks. A golden quill, sir. Jourdain of the Tor. Tyrion laughed. 9, and well done. I could not have named them all myself. That was a lie, but it would give the boy some pride, and that he badly needed. Martell brings some formidable companions, it would seem. Not one of the houses Pod had named was small or insignificant. 9 of the greatest lords of Dorne were coming up the King's Road. Them were their heirs, and somehow Tyrion did not think they had come all this way just to see the dancing bear. There was a message here, and not one I like. He wondered if it had been a mistake to think Marcella down a Sunspear. My lord, Pod said a little timidly, there's no litter. Tyrion turned his head sharply. The boy was right. Dora Martell always travels in a litter, the boy said. A carved litter with silk hangings and suns on the drapes. Tyrion had heard the same talk. Prince Doran was past 50 and gouty. He may have wanted to make faster time, he told himself. He may have feared his litter would make too tempting a target for brigands. Oops, sorry, I accidentally pressed a key and jumped up to a different spot in the notes.
So I got the book.
Gotta scroll all the way down, yeah. All right, I was saying that he may have feared his litter would make too tempting a target for brigands, or that it would prove too cumbersome in the high passes of the Boneway. Perhaps his gout is better. But why did he have such a bad feeling about this? Kind of should say that in a Han Solo voice.
Yeah.
This waiting was intolerable. Banners forward, he snapped. We'll meet them. Kicked his horse. Bronn and Pod followed, one to either side. When the Dornishmen saw them coming, they spurred their own mounts, banners rippling as they rode. From the ornate saddles were slung the round metal shields they favored, and many carried bundles of short throwing spears or the double-curved Dornish bows they used so well from horseback. There were 3 sorts.
Another place that is different from main Westeros that have advanced bowmen on horseback.
Yep. Yeah, definitely some Dothraki vibes there. Absolutely. Yeah. There were 3 sorts of Dornishmen, the first King Daeron had observed. There were the salty Dornishmen who lived along the coasts, the sandy Dornishmen of the deserts and long river valleys, and the stony Dornishmen who made their fastnesses in the passes and heights of the Red Mountains. The salty Dornishmen had the most Rhoynish blood, the stony Dornishmen the least. All 3 sorts seemed well represented in Doran's retinue. The salty Dornishmen were lithe and dark, with smooth olive skin and long black hair streaming in the wind. The sandy Dornishmen were even darker, their faces burned brown by the hot Cornish sun. They wound long, bright scarfs around their helms to ward off sunstroke. The stony Dornishmen were biggest and fairest, sons of the Andals and the First Men, brown-haired or blonde, with faces that freckled or burned in the sun instead of browning. 2, says Lizzie. Potts says, so Manwoody travels the Boneway. Yes, George does like some dick jokes.
Yeah. Leave it to Pod to catch that, though.
Yep. The lords wore silk and satin robes with jeweled belts and flowing sleeves. Their armor was heavily enameled and inlaid with burnished copper, shining silver and soft red gold. They came astride red horses and golden ones, and a few as pale as snow, all slim and swift, with long necks and narrow, beautiful heads. The fabled sand steeds of Dorne were smaller than proper war horses, could not bear such weight of armor, but it was said they could run for a day and night and another day and never tire. As do we all. There's an appreciation. That's all right.
Yeah, she just got the image of picturing all the book club naked yesterday, so.
Okay. The Dornish leader forked a stallion black as sin with a mane and tail the color of fire. He sat his saddle as if he'd been born there, which, of course, we've mentioned before is a sort of a green seer, or at least a skin changer, actually, I guess.
Yeah.
Changer kind of reference, right? So he'd been born there, tall, slim, graceful. A cloak of pale red silk fluttered from his shoulders, and his shirt was armored with overlapping rows of copper discs that glittered like 1,000 bright new pennies as he rode. His high gilded helm displayed a copper sun on its brow, and the round shield slung behind him bore the spear of House Martell on its polished metal surface. Martell's son, but 10 years too young, Tyrion thought as he reined up, too fit as well, and far too fierce. He knew what he must deal with by then. How many Dornchmen does it take to start a war? He asked himself. Only one. Yet he had no choice but to smile. Well met, my lords. We had word of your approach, and his grace, King Joffrey, bid me ride out to welcome you in his name. My lord father, the king's hand, sends his greetings as well. He feigned amiable confusion. Which one of you is Prince Durant? Charles is waving from the hugging tree at the secret gay hookup spot in the briar mace at High Garden. This is not capable of picturing anything. It's y'all that do that. My brother's health requires he remain at Sunspear, the prince held. Beneath, his face was lineless and saturnine, with thin arched brows above large eyes as black and shiny as pools of coal oil. These large eyes are the ones that Hoto will later say are what mark his daughters, right? That they have different colored eyes, but they all have those large eyes.
Right. Quick thing though.
Although Tootle says that Arion has his eyes and that Obara does not. And he says every one of them has the eyes right after observing Arion. So
okay.
Anyway, go on.
The description of the Dornish and the Desert Dornish seem an awful lot like the Dothraki. I mean,
oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, they definitely have to have had a shared ancestry. When you think,
could be. I mean, they certainly came from the same general region, I suppose.
Yeah. Do you remember if there are any Dornish-looking men at I can't remember, at Dany's wedding, or the night the meeting where she meets
I think so. I think there's people from all over. Aren't there people from?
Yeah, there's a bunch of people. We get a description.
You're like, really? Like these people are coming to see Khal Drogo get wed, and it's like, really? Because I remember it seeming kind of odd.
Yeah, I just can't remember the descriptions of the different people, and I'm wondering if there were representatives from Dorne at that meeting where she meets Count Drogo to discuss the wedding.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which would put them in the know of Dany and her brother from the beginning.
Sense, right? Because they're supposed to be. I mean, he's supposed to have tried to raise banners for Viserys at the end of the rebellion. So
yeah, well, I mean, we don't know exactly when the subject of the contract and all that stuff was broached with Prince Dorne playing the long game. So I mean, I suspect that Dorne has known from the beginning about Dany and her brother.
I don't think so. I don't think so because we see Duran and he's like with Arion and he's like wondering if it's possible that Aegon could be Elia's, right?
Now, are we getting his opinion or are we getting Arya Hoto's view of the situation?
From Arion's point of view, he's saying, you know, I would like to think
I take anything that someone says to a point of view character.
Yeah. Well,
with a grain of salt.
Let's when we get there, let's look at that carefully, right? Because it'd be interesting to see what his thoughts are on that. Whether he's deliberately musing for Arion's benefit as part of convincing her, or whether he really is musing. So we'll have to.
Well, I mean, if he shows a lack of true understanding of the situation, it gives her mission more weight to where she feels, especially since she had just thought that she was going to be overlooked for the Princess of Dorne, gives her mission more weight. I don't know, to not coddle, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
All right. All right. Oh, yes, he says, which of you is Prince Doran? My brother's health requires he remain at Sunspear. The prince then removed his helm. Beneath his face was lined, we did the part.
Yeah, you're down at with the eyes.
Ah, yes, shiny as pools of coal oil. Only a few streaks of silver marred the lustrous black hair that receded from his brow, and a widow's peak as sharply pointed as his nose. A salty Dornishman for certain. Prince Doran has sent me to join King Joffrey's council in his stead, as it please his grace. His grace will be most honored to have the council of the warriors renowned as Prince Oberyn of Dorne, said Tyrion, thinking this will mean blood in the gutters. And your noble companions are most welcome as well. Permit me to acquaint you with them, my lord of Lannister. Sir Desiel Dalt of Lemonwood, Lord Tremon Gargolin, Lord Harmon Uller and his brother Sir Ulwick, Sir Ryan Alarion and his natural son Sir Daemon Sand, the bastard of God's grace, Lord Dagos Manwoody, his brother Sir Miles, his sons Mors and Dickon, Sir Aaron Corgyle, never let it be thought that I would neglect the ladies, Maria Jourdain, heir to the Tor, Lady Laura Blackmont, her daughter Janessa, her son Peros. He raised a slender hand toward a black-haired woman to the rear, beckoning her forward. And this is Ilaria Sand, mine own paramour. Tyrion swallowed a groan. His paramour and bastard-born. Cersei will pitch a holy fit if he wants her at the wedding. Of course, we know that Cersei is bastard-born. See, episode 5. If she consigned the woman to some dark corner below the salt, his sister would risk the Red Viper's wrath. Seated beside him at the high table, and every other lady in the dais was like to take offense. Did Prince Doran mean to provoke a quarrel? Perhaps. Prince Oberyn wheeled his horse about to face his fellow Dornishmen. Ilaria, lords and ladies, sirs, see how well King Joffrey loves us. His grace has been so kind as to send his own uncle Imp to bring us to his court. Bronn snorted back laughter, and Tyrion perforce must feign amusement as well. Not alone, my lords. That would be too enormous a task for a little man like me. His own party had come up on them, so it was his turn to name the names. Let me present Sir Flemont Brax, heir to Hornvale, Lord Giles of Rosby, Sir Adam Marbrand, Lord Commander of the City Watch, Jalabar Zoe, Prince of the Red Flower Vale, Sir Harris Swift, my Uncle Kevin's good father by marriage, Sir Merlon Crakehall, Sir Philip Foote, and Sir Braun of the Blackwater, 2 heroes of our recent battle against the rebel Stannis Baratheon, and mine own squire, young Podrick of House Payne. The names had a nice ringing sound as Tyrion reeled them off, but the bearers were nowise near as distinguished nor formidable a company as those who accompanied Prince Oberyn, as both of them knew full well. Let's hear it for the bastards! That's 3. Our parties are way more fun than over at the Trueborn's tent. If you don't like the video, a ghostly figure will come into your life, a scheme to make you king through to worst series of events imaginable, possibly including you eating your friend. Wow, that's quite the curse. My lord of Lannister, said Lady Blackmont, we've come a long dusty way, and rest and refreshment will be most welcome. Might we continue on to the city? At once, my lady. Arya would approve. That was always the best thing to say. See Clash Arya 10, also available as an old new dude live stream on this channel, or you can find the same video in the Clash playlist on my channel. Lizzie says, I'd watch that show.
Now, you noticed that Prince Oberyn, when he was turned, he said, Elia first, lords and ladies.
Ilaria, lords and ladies, sir.
He gives his paramour first word.
Yep. And it makes it clear how he's ranking them too, because the lords and ladies, then sirs. This is the knights are below the lords and ladies, and then Ilaria's the top. Yep. Once, my lady. Tyrion turned his horse's head and called to Sir Adam Marbrand. The mounted goldcloaks who formed the greatest part of his honor guard turned their horses crisply at Sir Adam's command, and the column set off for the river and King's Landing beyond. It's been 0 days since we talked about cannibalism. Oberyn and Nymeris Martell, Tyrion muttered under his breath as he fell in beside the man. The Red Viper of Dorne. And what in the 7 hells am I supposed to do with him? He knew the man only by reputation, to be sure, but the reputation was fearsome. When he was no more than 16, Prince Oberyn had been found in bed with the paramour of old Lord Ironwood, a huge man of fierce repute and short temper. A duel ensued, though in view of the prince's youth and high birth, it was only to first blood. Both men took cuts, and honor was satisfied, yet Prince Oberyn soon recovered, while Lord Ironwood's wounds festered and killed him. Afterward, men whispered that Oberyn had fought with a poisoned sword, and ever thereafter friends and foes alike called him the Red Viper. So you might say he's a bit of a rogue, and thus a rogue.
Hey, is anybody else? Is he roboting for y'all? Or just me?
Am I roboting? I think it's just you. You think I'm roboting?
You are for me, but we got some rain here, so I don't know if it's the whole live stream or just me.
Okay, I see you kind of jerking the video occasionally too.
All right, it's just me. So keep going.
Just you, Dad. All right. The Red Viper. So you might say he's a bit of a rogue, and thus a rogue prince with Targaryen blood. His niece, the princess who is her father's named heir, seems to have sexual fantasies about her sex-positive rogue prince uncle. The princess pushed the claim of the queen, Myrcella, and seems likely to want to have Aegon of the House of the Dragon crowned as king in a rather strong but somewhat backwards parallel to the princess and the queen of the first dance. Most of the dance foreshadowing is in the princess's chapters, and much of it is related to the pushing of the claim of the queen or the sample chapters of the princess trying to get to King Aegon VII. If you don't think he should be Aegon VII, see Triple Targaryens Episode 3 on Louis XVIII, Napoleon III, and Daemon III Blackfire.
There you go. That was a mouthful.
Yeah, and late this is as you, dude. You're freezing too.
It's bad weather here. Sorry.
That was many years ago, to be sure. The boy of 16 was a man past 40 now. His legend had grown a deal darker. He traveled in the free cities, learning the poisoner's trade, and the fact that he studied the poisoner's trade after that makes you wonder if it wasn't just a festering wound, right? Because if he obviously didn't think he knew enough about poison. So anyway, it's like he had the reputation, and he wanted to be able to follow through on it.
Right. It's kind of the same thing as Tyrion. They want to treat him like the little demon monkey or whatever, and he goes out of his way to actually become what they think he is.
Now I'm wondering if maybe I did have a robot voice, because Lizzie says robot voice 4. Anyway. And perhaps art's darker still, if rumors could be believed. He studied at the Citadel, going so far as to forge 6 lengths of a maester chain before he grew bored. No, of course, I don't think he grew bored. I think he was more interested in knowledge than taking a vow of celibacy and service.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He had soldiered in the disputed lands across the narrow sea, riding with the Second Sons for a time before forming his own company. And Toodles thinks this company is the Stormcrows.
The Stormcrows or the Brave Companions?
Oh, she just wanted us to read it with a robot voice. I don't know how to say. How do I read 4 with a robot voice? Anyway, I'm not sure how to read 4 with a robot. 4. Anyway, I don't know. I should have specified. All right. Okay. Toodles thinks it's the Stormcrows. Do you think it's the Brave? You think it's the Brave Companions?
Yeah. Well, I like the theory that the Brave Companions cutting Jamie's hand off.
It's part of the Dornish master plan, and therefore, okay.
Yeah.
Right. His tourneys, his battles, his duels, his horses, his carnality. It was said that he bedded men, women, both, and had begotten bastard girls all over Dorne. The Sand Snakes, men called his daughters. So far as Tyrion had heard, Prince Oberyn had never fathered a son, and there's probably a few reasons that George did that. One of them is as a sort of a historic parallel with Henry VIII or something. But I do wonder if it's also because he didn't have. Most characters seem to have more sons than daughters, and if you want to kind of counterbalance that sum.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he could have had sons, but he only sought out the daughters. I mean.
Mm-hmm. And of course, he'd crippled the heir to Highgarden. There was no man in the Seven Kingdoms who would be less welcome at a Tyrell wedding, thought Tyrion. To send Prince Oberyn to King's Landing while the city still hosted late Lord Mace Tyrell, 2 of his sons, and thousands of their men at arms, was a provocation as dangerous as Prince Oberyn himself. A wrong word, an ill-timed jest, a look, that's all it will take, and our noble allies will be at one another's throats. We have met before, the Dornish prince said lightly to Tyrion as they rode side by side along the King's Road, past ashen fields and the skeletons of trees. I did not expect you to remember, though. You're even smaller than you are now. There was a mocking edge to his voice that Tyrion misliked, but he's not about to let the Norseman provoke him. When was this, my lord? He asked in tones of polite interest. Oh, many and many a year ago, my mother ruled in Dorne, and your lord father was hand to a different man. Not so different as you might think, reflected Tyrion. There is a certain family resemblance to each of the Targaryens, episode 5. It was when I visited Castle Rock with my mother, her consort, and my sister Elia. I was, 14, 15 thereabouts. Elia a year older. Your brother and sister were 8 or 9, as I recall, and you had just been born. A queer time to come visiting. So George is calling our attention to this visit not making sense. Or
Right.
does it? Or does it? We know a servant caught Jaime and Cersei just before Tyrion's birth and was sent away. We know Joanna's bastard half-sister, which is actually Lenora Hill, right? Bastard half-sister Lenora Hill, who looked like her, was a servant at Castle Rock. If a Lannister woman wanted to cover up the twincest and evidence her children were not trueborn, she might be willing to get someone drunk, slice them open, and cover them in blood, as if by a cesarean or a boar. His mother had died giving him birth, so the Martells would have found the rock deep in mourning, his father especially. Lord Tywin seldom spoke of his wife, but Tyrion had heard his. And we should give credit to the Solid on Reddit from 7 years ago was the Joanna Lannister is alive post. That one's pretty easy to trace the roots of.
Okay.
Like a hive mind, but a five mind. Lord Tywin seldom spoke of his wife, but Tyrion had heard his uncles talk of the love between them. In those days, his father had been Aerys' hand, and many people said that Lord Tywin Lannister ruled the Seven Kingdoms, but Lady Joanna ruled Lord Tywin. He was not the same man after she died, Imp, his Uncle Jerry told him once. The best part of him died with her. Jerian had been the youngest of Lord Tydos Lannister's 4 sons, the uncle Tyrion liked best. What's that? Did you say something?
No, I coughed. I'm sorry.
Okay. But he was gone now, lost beyond the seas, and Tyrion himself had put Lady Joanna in her grave. Our characters are often wrong. Did you find Castle Rock to your liking, my lord? Scarcely. Your father ignored us the whole time we were there, after commanding Sir Kevin to see to our entertainment. The cell they gave me had a feather bed to sleep in and Moorish carpets on the floor, but it was dark and windowless, much like a dungeon when you come down to it, as I told Ellie at the time. Your skies were too gray, your wines too sweet, your women too chaste, your food too bland, and you yourself were the greatest disappointment of all. I'd just been born. What did you expect of me? Enormity, the black-haired prince replied. You were small, but far famed. We were in Old Town at your birth, and all the city talked of was the monster that had been born to the king's hand, and what such an omen might foretell for the realm. And see, that's part of the point, is that they were at Old Town.
Yeah, they were already en route.
Right. Well, they were at Old Town, and they heard news. So they could easily have turned around at that point, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Raven and said, we understand, right? But in fact, right, we have reason to believe that Joanna has a glass candle, right?
Oh.
And they were at Old Town, and we have reason to believe that Marwyn, who's the one that has possession, that controls the glass candles, is he specifically strongly implies that he's a prince of with Targaryen blood. Right? He says that they don't like, that they can't trust, they can't trust Aemon, and and he implies that it's the same reason they can't trust me, which sort of implies that he's a prince with Targaryen blood, right? Okay. Because he specifically says they can't trust him because he's a Targaryen prince, and he says and that's all. He basically says, and that's all, also why they can't trust me, right? He looks almost exactly like Quentin, right? And actually, Toodles thinks that he's actually Obara's father.
Okay, and that would be the reason why that.
Right. And
on that note, seeing as how we haven't done it yet, Alaris Sorella, is her description? Is her eyes that big round thing?
I think so.
Alaris has said that have big.
She has big eyes. I think she does.
Oh, you get out of here, man.
I should say he clearly likes the. Well, what? Oh, okay, because you want to be Aegon.
Yeah. Well, man, I have some regular theories, and there's regular theories that I agree with, And then I got my outlandish ones, like Gendry is the Azor Ahai, and Alaris is the original Aegon that was supposed to be
Lizzie's
killed.
getting upset with you for daring to talk about Alaris on a Friday.
I'm sorry. I was just broaching the subject. I apologize. I'll
I'm
save
pretty
it.
sure, though. I'm pretty sure.
I'll save it for next Wednesday.
All right.
At first I thought I wasn't going to be able to do any next week because Carter's out of school for a week. But then I found out that Lindsay's new school is out for a week next week, so I got a babysitter so I can keep doing live streams. So,
nice.
Yay! Sorry, Lizzie.
So anyway, they were in Old Town, and as long as I'm mentioning the family resemblance, I should probably say that the elder brother looks a heck of a lot like a tall as a tower version of them. And the one thing we know about Marwyn's brother Lewin would be that he's and in fact, the names are similar for a reason, right? To kind of tie the two together. But is that he's tall as, we know that Lewin is, the only thing we know about his appearance is he's tall as a tower. So the fact that you got somebody who looks almost exactly like Quentin and Marwyn, except tall, when we're told he's tall as a tower, right? Is part of why you might think that he could easily be Prince Lewin Martell, in addition to the fact that some of the language of Lewin's death is the same language that you see in the elder brother describing his death at the Trident. He tells you he died at the Trident, and he uses the term "my brothers, everyone," which kind of ties into the same terms that Jaime and Loras used to talk about the Seven Kingsguard, and right. Episode 6.
You get more and more of them in on these episodes.
There's going to be more. There's going to be a whole lot more.
I know. I love it every time you say it. We should start a drinking game.
I think the chat probably has anyway.
There you
go. All the city talked of was the monster that had been born to the king's hand, and what such an omen might foretell for the realm. Famine, plague, and war, no doubt. Tyrion gave a sour smile. It's always famine, plague, and war. Oh, and winter, and the long night that never ends. All that, said Prince Oberyn, and your father's fall as well. Lord Tywin had made himself greater than King Aerys, I heard one begging brother preach. But only a god is meant to stand above a king. You were his curse, a punishment sent by the gods to teach him that he was no better than any other man. I try, but he refuses to learn, Tyrion gave a sigh. But do go on, I pray you. I love a good tale. Wait, am I the only one who's been playing the drinking game? Yeah, exactly. And well you might, since you were said to have one, a stiff curly tail like a swine's. Your head was monstrous huge, we heard, half again the size of your body. You've been born with thick black hair and a beard besides, an evil eye and lion's claws. It's interesting, the black hair, right?
Yeah.
And between your legs were a girl's privates as well as a boy's. Life would be much simpler if men could fuck themselves, don't you agree? And I can think of a few times when claws and teeth might have proved useful. Even so, I begin to see the nature of your complaint. Bronn gave out with a chuckle, but Oberyn only smiled. We might never have seen you at all but for your sweet sister. You were never seen at table or hall, though sometimes at night we could hear a baby howling down in the depths of the rock. You did have a monstrous great voice, I must grant you that. You would wail for hours, and nothing would quiet you but a woman's teat. Still true, as it happens. This time Prince Oberyn did laugh. A taste we share. Lord Gargolin once told me he hoped to die with a sword in his hand, to which I replied that I would sooner go with a breast in mine. Tyrion had to grin. You were speaking of my sister? They promised Elia to show. Of course, this is going to be a callback to this line right here, right?
Yeah.
I'd sooner go with a breast in mine. Cersei promised Elia to show you to us. The day before we were to sail, whilst my mother and your father were closeted together, she and Jaime took us down to your nursery. Your wet nurse tried to send us off, but your sister was having none of that. He's mine, she said, and you're just a milk cow. You can't tell me what to do. Be quiet or I'll have my father cut your tongue out. A cow doesn't need a tongue, only udders. Her grace learned charm at an early age, said Tyrion, amused by the notion of his sister claiming him as hers. She's never been in any rush to claim me since, the gods know. Cersei even undid your swaddling clothes to give us a better look, the Dwarf prince continued. You did have one evil eye and some black fuzz on your scalp. Perhaps your head was larger than most, but there was no tail, no beard, neither teeth nor claws, and nothing between your legs but a tiny pink cock. After all the wonderful whispers, Lord Tywin's doom turned out to be just a hideous red infant with stunted legs. Elia even made the noise that young girls make at the sight of infants. I'm sure you've heard it. Same noise they make over cute kittens and playful puppies. I believe she wanted to nurse you herself, ugly as you were. When I commented that you seemed a poor sort of monster, your sister said, he killed my mother and twisted your little cock so hard I thought she was like to pull it off. You shrieked, but it was only when your brother Jaime said, leave him be, you're hurting him, that Cersei let go of you. It doesn't matter, she told us. Everyone says he's like to die soon. He shouldn't even have lived this long. The sun was shining bright above them. The day was pleasantly warm for autumn, but Tyrion Lannister went cold all over when he heard that. My sweet sister. He scratched the scar of his nose and gave the Dornishman a taste of his evil eye. Now, why would he tell such a tale? Is he testing me? Or simply twisting my cock as Cersei did, so he can hear me scream? Be sure and tell that story to my father. It would delight him as much as it did me. The part of my tail especially. I did have one, but he had it lopped off. Prince Oberyn had a chuckle. You've grown more amusing since last we met. Yes, but I meant to grow taller. While we are speaking of amusement, I heard a curious tale of Lord Buckler's steward. He claimed that you put a tax on women's private purses. It's a tax on whoring, said Tyrion, irritated all over again. That's my bloody father's notion. Only a penny for each act. The king's hand felt it might help improve the morals of the city. He paid for Joffrey's wedding besides. Needless to say, as Master of Coin, Tyrion had gotten all the blame for it. Bronn said they were calling it the dwarf's penny in the streets. Spread your legs for the half-man now, they were shouting in the brothels and wine sinks, if the sellsword could be believed. I'll make certain to keep my pouch full of pennies. Even a prince must pay his taxes. Why should you need to go whoring? He glanced back to where Illyria Sand rode among the other women. Did you tire of your paramour on the road? Never. We share too much. Prince Oberyn shrugged. We've never shared a beautiful blonde woman, however, and Illyria is curious. Do you know of such a creature? I am a man wedded, though not yet bedded. I no longer frequent whores, unless I want to see them hanged. Oberyn abruptly changed the subject. It's said there are to be 77 dishes served at the king's wedding feast. Are you hungry, my prince? I've hungered for a long time, though not for food. Pray tell me, when will the justice be served? Justice? Yes, that is why he's here. I should have seen that at once. You are close to your sister? As children, Elia and I were inseparable, much like your own brother and sister. Well, they do have Targaryen blood, and Toodles thinks one or both might be the Mad King's bastard. The history implies he was laying pipe with Princess Septa Scalera and Dorne at about the right time, and Oberyn is called half mad.
Oh no, I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, when he lays that out, he concludes that. Let me grab my Arbor Gold to join, says Mother Roy with the drinking game. Gods, I hope not. Wars and weddings have kept us well occupied, Prince Oberyn. I fear no one has yet had the time to look into murders 16 years stale, dreadful as they were. We shall, of course, just as soon as we may. Any help that Dorne might be able to provide to restore the king's peace would only hasten the beginning of my lord father's inquiry. Dwarf, said the Red Viper in a tone grown markedly less cordial, spare me your Lannister lies. Is it sheep you take us for, or fools? My brother is not a bloodthirsty man, but neither has he been asleep for 16 years. Jon Arryn came to Sunspear the year after Robert took the throne, and you can be sure that he was questioned closely. Him and 100 more. I did not come for some mummer's show of an inquiry. I came for justice for Elia and her children, and I will have it. Starting with this lummox Gregor Clegane, but not, I think, ending there. Before he dies, the enormity that rides will tell me whence came his orders. Please assure your lord father of that. He smiled. An old Septon once claimed I was living proof of the goodness of the gods. Do you know why that is, imp? No, Tyrion admitted warily. Why, if the gods were cruel, they would have made me my mother's firstborn and Doran her third. I am a bloodthirsty man, you see, and it is me you must contend with now, not my patient, prudent, and gouty brother. Tyrion could see the sun shining on the Blackwater Rush half a mile ahead, and on the walls and towers and hills of King's Landing beyond. He glanced over his shoulder at the glittering column following them up the King's Road. You speak like a man with a great host at his back, he said. Yet all I see are 300. Do you spy that city there north of the river? George loves to throw his 300 references.
Yeah, that's nice.
The midden heap you call King's Landing? That's the very one. Not only do I see it, I believe I smell it now. Then take a good sniff, my lord. Fill up your nose. 500,000 people stink more than 300, you'll find. Do you smell the gold cloaks? There are near 5,000 of them. My father's own sworn swords must account for another 20,000. And then there are the roses. Roses smell so sweet, don't they? Especially when there are so many of them. 50, 60, 70,000 roses in the city or camped outside it. I can't really say how many are left. There's more than I care to count anyway. Ortug gave a shrug. In Dornable, before we married Darren, it was said that all flowers bow before the sun. Should the roses seek to hinder me, I'll gladly trample them underfoot. As you trampled Willis Tyrell, the Dorchman did not react as expected. I had a letter from Willis not half a year past. We share an interest in fine horseflesh. He's never borne me any ill will for what happened in the lists. I struck his breastplate clean, but his foot caught in a stirrup, and as he fell, his horse came down on top of him. I sent a maester to him afterward, but it was all he could do to save the boy's leg. The knee was far past mending. If any were to blame, it was his fool of a father. Willis Tyrell was green as his surcoat and had no business riding in such company. The fat flower thrust him into attorneys at too tender an age, just as he did with the other two. He wanted another Leo Longthorn and made himself a cripple. Beware the roses, says Charles. There are those who say Sir Loras is better than Leo Longthorn ever was, said Tyrion. Redley's little rose? I doubt that. Doubt it all you wish, said Tyrion. Sir Loras has defeated many good knights, including my brother Jaime. By defeated, you mean unhorsed in tourney. Tell me who he's slain in battle if you mean to frighten me. Sir Robar Royce and Sir Edmund Coy for two, and men say he performed prodigious feats of valor in the Blackwater, fighting beside Lord Renly's ghost. It's weird. There's a couple times where they list these two as if the third one wasn't there, but we know he killed three, and I'd have to go back and look at the name, but we know the names of the three that he killed. I don't know why. I don't know why. There's a couple times where they imply it's only two. But anyway, but yeah. we do know that there were three, and we do know who they were. Anyway, so these same men who saw the prodigious feats saw the ghost as well. Yes, the Dorfman laughed lightly. Tyrion gave him a long look. Chatea's on the street of silk has several girls who might suit your needs. Dancy has hair the color of honey. Marie's is pale white gold. I'd advise you to keep one or the other by your side at all times, my lord. Honey hair is paired with traditional Targaryen-colored hair here, and linked to our rogue prince with Targaryen blood. See Triple Targaryens, episode 7. At all times, Prince Oberyn lifted a thin black eyebrow. Why is that, my good imp? You want to die with the breast in hand, you said. Tyrion cantered on ahead to where the ferry barges waited at the south bank of the Blackwater. He suffered all he meant to suffer of what passed for Dornish wit. Father should have sent Joffrey after all. He could have asked Prince Oberyn if he knew how a Dornishman differed from a cowflop. That made him grin despite himself. He would have to make a point of being on hand when the Red Viper was presented to the king. Up next, Storm 39, Arya 7. Arise, Sir Gendry.
Arya. Yes, the future Azor Ahai, Sir Gendry.
Yep.
Bookmarker. Some bitch.
The Smith in human form.
There you go.
Like a god. Maybe not. maybe a maiden's fantasy, but also.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I had to makeshift a bookmark. Yeah, I mean, look. I know some of my stuff is far fetched and thin as I'll get out, but it's nice to think about.
Hey, if you ever do read a Book of the New Sun,
no,
if you ever do read it, there's a podcast you should listen to.
Okay.
Because it's the theories that people come up with, they're way out there.
I would enjoy them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's called Rereading Wolf.
Rereading the Wolf. Let me write that down.
Rereading Wolf.
Y'all keep giving me homework now. I'm not appreciating that.
Oh, you'll love these guys. Rereading Wolf.
Wolf. All right.
You'll love these guys. They're all about the tinfoil.
I love some tinfoil.
Because it's tinfoil about the Book of the New Sun and then tinfoil about the Song of Ice and Fire, but
yeah,
kind of similar.
Looking up characters real quick because you got me curious. Give me a second. Having problems with my internet. So, did you have a good week?
Yeah, it's pretty good. How about you?
That's pretty good. I mean, I can't complain.
You
I
did?
could, but
What was
my
what
wife
was
would
going
not.
on Wednesday? I forgot what you told me about Wednesday.
What's that?
What did you tell me about Wednesday? Somebody was sick or something?
No. I was registering
Oh yeah,
Lindsay in her new school.
yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm,
What are you looking for?
I was looking at the description of Alaris.
Oh, okay.
Big black eyes, like onyx.
Yeah, big black eyes, like coal.
You hush. Yeah, go away.
Well, I mean, one of the things that Alaris could still end up being like the
The
separated
twin.
twin or something, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for George to throw out there the first time that we meet. Oh wait, never mind. I can't talk about it. I'm sorry, Lizzie.
Oh yeah. We gotta move on to some other things.
Yeah, I better shut up before Lizzie gets me.
Well, one of the things the Book of
Redacted.
New Sun has. One of the things that's kind of interesting in the Book of New Sun is they specifically tell you that the main character Severian has a name that's usually given to a boy and a boy-girl twin scenario. So people spend the whole time trying to figure out, well, does he have a sister? Which of these characters could be his sister? Is one of these secretly his sister? So there's all these theories. and of course, knowing the love of irony and incest and stuff, you have to wonder if it's actually the woman that he winds up marrying at the end.
Okay. Well, I didn't jump in too much on this chapter. Tyrion chapters, sometimes there's things that just jump out at me that I got to say, and then most of the time, I'm enjoying the chapter so much it's hard for me to interject what I'm thinking because I'm not thinking, I'm enjoying. And Tyrion chapters are generally the hardest for me to come up with stuff to say, just because I enjoy the way it flows, his humor, the things that are said. It tends to be the more appealing chapters in the books for me.
But we get further discussion of this visit, don't we? Don't we? At some point, because at some point we find out that they prepared a cabin for a highborn guest, right?
Yeah, we find that out. I don't know where.
I think it's probably when he's talking to him right before the, either when he visits him in his cell or right before the battle.
Right. Because he goes into detail that they were there for a betrothal match.
Right.
And then
so he's assuming that they were expecting to bring one of them back, which there's no way they were expecting to bring one of them back.
No. Justice
and by the time you get home, the call is already coming from inside the house. This is for Joanna.
Okay. Well, it's Friday. You were almost at 50 minutes.
Oh yeah, plenty.
All right. Again, I apologize. I should have said we started the video. I was on the phone with the doctor's office. I do apologize.
Yeah, this is old new dude, by the way.
Yeah, this is an old new dude. I want to apologize for Wednesday. Like I said, I was at Lindsay's new school. Things I knew I wouldn't be able to do a live stream that day. I do want to apologize to Lizzie and Lady Thistle. I promise I have Lindsay here with me so she can watch Carter next week, so I won't be missing any live streams that I know of.
Was that her first appearance on your?
Yeah, that was first appearance. Did she actually make live, or did you just see her?
We saw her.
Okay. Well, she has been in a video, but that would be the first time on live.
Okay. I thought I had seen her at some point. So yeah.
Yeah. It was the dress up video. She was we were doing mocking Lord of the Rings.
I definitely watched that.
Yeah. They're just having fun, stupid stuff at the house. Lady Thistle says I need to do more videos like that. Dress up, just have a blast.
You probably need to keep if you might want to turn off the comments on it just because creepers tend to come out whenever there's
there was one guy that sounded I might have to go back through and turn comments off. Yeah, there are some idiots out there.
Absolutely.
I was watching I forget, it was one of the cop cam videos. There was a guy that was walking up and down the neighborhood, knocking on doors, looking for a 12-year-old girl that he met online on her YouTube channel. The parents made her take the YouTube channel down. This was 5 years ago, and he's telling the cops that that he's been with a 6-year-old. She's 12. In God's eyes, she's fine. I mean, this dude was just freaking creepy as all get out, and these cops did not lose their cool none. And I'm like, that's probably why I never became a cop, because there's no way I'd be able to keep my cool with this sick SOB talking about a 12-year-old. I mean, no, it ain't happening. But that never mind. I want to end it on a bad note. Okay, it's Friday. Monday is Aria. As always, everybody, on Fridays, please have a good, safe weekend. We do care about you. Want to thank y'all for joining us for the live stream, and we will see you Monday. Lady Thistle, Lizzie, all. I'm going to try either Saturday or Sunday during the day to make an effort to get on a chat so we can talk some theories type stuff. Because I know I can't stay awake to do D&D and all that kind of stuff. But I do appreciate y'all, and y'all take care. Bye, Richard.
Bye.
Bye.